Good morning, welcome all of you. So, we are in the midst of SAVITRI summarization. Welcome all of you to this greater part of this discussion, to this part that is known as SAVITRI summarization. So, this during this discussion, we will discuss today on the kingdom of the subtle matter. Great topic. That is almost a recent discussion. That is a great discussion. The kingdom of the subtle matter. We are going to discuss in brief. Already we have focused on that discussion, and we know we are going to discuss the gist, the summary. That's why we are taking this part of discussion as the Savitri summarization. Discussing on this topic while we come, this is the book 2 and of course canto 1. That's what we are going to discuss right now. Book 2 canto 1, the kingdom of the subtle matter. Here in this discussion we are going to find the description of the subtle matter. So that is a great opportunity for us to discuss on this topic, kingdom of the subtle matter. How really that subtle, first it is subtle matter and that kingdom, how it will be, that is, there will be a big curiosity of course in you. So because you know how that splendid kingdom will be, yeah, how it will be, what is the characteristic, what is the nature, what exceptional in that atmosphere, that is the point of discussion here. Sri Aurobindo quotes, he came into a magic crystal air. He came into a magic crystal air and found a life that lived not by place. That is a beautiful, brilliant air. Came into a magic crystal air and found a life that lived not by place. A light that made visible immaterial things. So that is the point, that is the description. A fine degree in wonders hierarchy. Hierarchy yesterday while we were discussing on the topic the world stair. So here also we can find a fine degree in wonders hierarchy, the kingdom of the subtle matters, fairy craft, outlined against a sky of vivid hues. That is a big discussion. Shortly we are going to summarize it, and of course a couple of lines we will see. A world of lovelier forms lies near to ours. A world of lovelier forms lies near to us, where undisguised by earth's deforming sight, all shapes are beautiful and all things are true. All things are beautiful, all shapes are beautiful, and all things are true. Again, because already we have told this is not the right way, right time. We are not going to discuss everything line by line. We are just have an outline of this topic. Sri Aurobindo collects some quotes here. Our vague beginnings are overtaken there. Our vague beginnings that are overtaken here, that is the great things here Aurobindo has quoted here. Our middle terms sketched out in patient lines, our finished ends anticipated leave. This brilliant roof of our descending plane, intercepting the free boon of heaven's air, amid small industries of a mighty breeze or fragrant circuits through gold lattices. So, this beautiful kingdom we are going to discuss here in the course beautifully. All that is beautiful here is there divine. Just imagine how that brilliant kingdom will be. Anyway, this is the we are going to discuss. Of course, we are going to summarize. So this is the summary. We are going to have quote and sketch an outline of this topic, kingdom of the subtle matter, crossing beyond the borders of the physical world. Crossing beyond, because yesterday we have seen that borders, hierarchy, that bars and planes, stairs, layers, ascent, descent, pressure of the layers. Many ways we have seen bliss, power, and the guidance from within. So many ways we were a little bit aware. Crossing beyond the borders of the physical world, Aswapati enters into the realm of wonder and delight. So this is as quoted. This is the realm of wonder and delight. The world of subtle matter. That is what is quoted and described. This world overtops our physical world. Overtops our physical world on the top of this physical world. Beautiful, symmetrical in forms, imaginable. This comparison This description you will find nowhere because it is really unique. Beautiful and symmetrical in forms which senses subtler and more far-ranging than the physical ones. With senses subtler and more far-ranging than the physical ones. This realm is the shining origin of the world below. Below we can find the world. Its shining origin begins here in this subtle world. This realm is the shining origin of the world below. All here on earth follows the lines of already mapped out there and subtle world above. So, all here on earth follows the lines here, follows the lines already mapped out in the subtle world above. What has been described in the subtle world above that has been outlined here. Again, Sri Aurobindo tries to quote and explain beautifully. It forms a protective shield to the material world. It helps, of course, shields, it protects, acts as a protective shield to the material world where we are here, and intercepting the charge of a higher light and power and allowing only so much of the can be borne by without breaking under the impact. There is no breakage, everything is harmony, everything is compact, everything is in full essence. Its fate functions as a regulating channel to the downfall of the powers from above. The powers that is getting downpoured from above, it is this layer, this world, it functions as a regulating channel, the channel that regulates the flow from above, divine flow from the downflow of the power from above. That divine flow is regulated here. This is the regulating channel of this flow. So again, we are going a little bit ahead. The source of all movements, creative of beauty, delight, and grace, is there in the subtle physical world. Beautiful, excellent. The source of all movements, creative of all movements, source of all movements, creative of three things. One is beauty, second is delight, and third is, of course, grace. Is there in the subtle physical world. Here you can find everything. But only a fragment of the true inspiration only a fragment of the true inspiration received there is able to get through to this world of gross matter. So this regulating channel here, everything is getting protective layer. So here in the quotes, but only a fragment of the true inspiration, fragment of a true inspiration received there is able to get through to this world of gross matter. So everything comes through our. This is the channel. This is the tunnel. This is the protecting layer. There is no gulf, here in the quotes here, between matter and soul. So normally what we find, there is a big gap, big gulf between matter and soul. But here while staying, lingering and knowing, you can find no gulf between matter and soul. Second, between mind and form, there is absolutely no gap, no gulf between matter and soul and between mind and form. Each truth finds its natural expression without deformation. Each truth finds its natural expression without deformation. Form does not conceal but reveals. So this is the greatness. Of course, it is a bigness of this material world. You can find here. This is a great description as described by the master. So Mahaj Yogi will try to quote Mahaj the master a little bit here. Still in the quotes here. All that is beautiful here is there divine. Figures are there undreamed by mortal mind. Not yet dreamed by mortal mind, these figures are there. Bodies that have no earthly counterpart. Just imagine how this real greatness of this realm. Bodies that have no earthly counterpart traverse the inner eyes, illumined trace. Later, after some time, here in the course, the future's marbles wander in its gulfs. The future's marbles wander in its gulfs. Things old and new are fashioned in those depths. Then again, here in the course beautifully, matter and soul in conscious union meet. Just some before some time, there is no gulf between matter, mind, and matter, soul. Everything that no gulf is there. You can find matter and soul in conscious union meet. Love, like lovers in a lonely secret self. How this imaginary image has been imaged. Just imagine, like lovers in a lonely secret place. Then again Sri Aurobindo quotes goes little bit forward. And matter substance of signboard and force imagined vainly in our mind's thin air. We'll move little bit into the further and next step of discussion. Only for expression chaos and perfect form. Here on its peaks, it has a dangerous nether depths. We'll go little bit. This medium serves a greater consciousness. This medium, where we are, this medium serves a greater consciousness, a vessel of its concealed autocracy. It is the subtle ground of matter's world. It is the subtle ground of the matter's worlds. It is the immutable in their mutable form. Immutable in their mutable form. Then we are going a little bit ahead. It is a beautiful thing. Sharing the course here. Its knowledge is our error starting point. Its knowledge is our error starting point. Its beauty dawns our mod mask ugliness. Its artist good begins on evil's tale. So, our evil's tale, a heaven between creative truths above, how this land is, how this realm is fulfilled with, a heaven of creative truths above, a cosmos of harmonious dream between, creative truths above, a chaos of dissolving form below. It plunges lost in our inconscient base. Out of our its fall, our denser matter came. Out of its fall, our denser matter came, because already we know on the material world this is existing, and its lower portion is actually what we are really sensing every day. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully again and again. A consciousness plucked out from the mindless sleep. A worldwide nation strove towards life and thought. A being yoked and lived in the meaningless void. Just imagine. So we are going to discuss a little bit. Then we'll come and quote the master in very wonderful way. A labor to the gods impossible, a life living hardly in a hell field of death, its portion claims of immortality. A brute, half conscious body serves as means, a mind that must recover a knowledge lost, held in stone grip by the world's experience. A spirit bound stand up in as nature's king. So this mighty kinship, this greatness, we are going to discuss little bit in our discussion, of course, in our point of summarization here. This subtle world is the first station of the human soul. This subtle world, where what really we are focusing upon here, is the first station of the human soul after its exit from the physical world on the way to the higher realms. First station, because more stations are coming in front. First station of the human soul after its exit from the physical world on the way to the higher realms. The subtle physical embodiments of its radiant vehicle of the soul after it has shed its grosser body. So, this is the beginning of the ascent. Very interestingly, it shows and focuses beautifully. With all its glitter, see, just imagine, with all its glitter, luminosity, glitter, lightning. However, this world is not all safe. Well, it has its glitters, but not safe. Attractive and delightful through on its though in its summits. At the summit, you can find two. One is attractive, second is delightful. It has dangerous gulfs. Already we saw in the lower levels, in the lower, because just before some time we are seeing finding Sri Aurobindo quoting while quoting directly Sri Aurobindo, dangerous gulfs at the lower limits. It is glitterous, it is wonderful, it is marvelous. Still there is some mm, lacuna, not safe. It has got its gulfs in its lower level. Peril it clothed in beauty. Peril is clothed in beauty. That is the major problem you see. So we can peril clothed in beauty. Danger is infested with charm. That is the more problem that you can find at the lower level. That is the gulfs. Peril is clothed in beauty. Danger is infested with calm. The beginning of what ensues in death of earth are here in this nether planes. So even if that is glittering, that is luminous, that is magnificent, that is a protecting layer, that is a tunnel for communication, still then it has got its lacuna, it has got the gulfs, not safe. Peril is clothed in beauty and the danger is invested with its charm. That is the major problem we can find here. Again, crushing little bit ahead we can find. All on earth is a diminished figure of what obtains in the world of the subtle matter. What really we are in the physical world, what we guess, that is the diminished figure of what obtains in the world of subtle matter. Power, again three things here in the course: power, beauty, and knowledge. The decadence from its perfect types of culminates in the chaotic disintegration fact of the on the planes of the gross matter. This decadence you can find from the perfect times culminates in the chaotic disintegration on the planes of the gross matter. Gross matter, in that plane you can find a disintegration. This decadence actually it starts from there itself. Again, in spite of all these faults, these errors, these gulfs, this decadence, this disintegration, so far we have discussed and analyzed here in the course. In spite of all these fall, so what happens? The earth is a nurse of souls. In spite of all these things, in spite of all this fall, the earth is a knot of souls, for hidden in the being of is a divinity, divinity is hidden, that presses for manifestation. We can find so many lacunas, so many pitfalls, so many ways it is we can find. Still then there is a possibility of the existing hidden in the being. There is a divinity, there is a divinity hidden in this floor in this world. On this earth is a knot of soul, that is the first thing. For hidden in the being is a divinity that presses for manifestation. Becomes articulate as a force of consciousness, articulate as a force of consciousness that insists on building on the earth all that has been envisaged by the creative spirit. Again, the laboring force becomes all aware in man. The laboring force becomes all aware in man, and in him, and through him seeks to found immortality in this field of death. So there is death. There is a possibility of gaining immortality, because this earth is a soul already we have discussed, and of course the seed of Godhead lurks in us. We can find here everything. There is a possibility. Laboring force, this laboring force becomes self-aware in man, and in him and through him. In him and through him seeks to found immortality in this setting of in the field of death. So this is a beautiful thing. We'll try to read a few lines, quote few lines from Sri Aurobindo in his from his original writings. We can find Sri Aurobindo quotes here. That is a joyful anguish trembles in our limbs. A dream of beauty dances through the heart. A thought from the eternal mind draws near. Again, I will try to quote. A joyful anguish trembles in our limbs. A dream of beauty dances through our heart. A thought from the eternal mind draws near. Intimations cast from the invisible, awaking from infinity sleep, come down. So this is the coming. So many things ways we are getting glittered. We are getting actually overjoyed. Here in the course, absolute. Yeah, it's actually there is a great description. Really, we can find a mighty kinship is this daring scars. All we attempt in this imperfect world looks forward or looks back beyond the time's glass. Again, Sri Aurobindo goes little bit forward. We can see this greatness still abides held back within. Our nature's glass shows not our real self. This greatness still abides held back from within. Earth's doubting future hides our heritage. Doubting future of the earth hides our heritage. The light now distant, still grown native here. Light seems actually it is in the distant. Now it is distant shall grow native here. The strength that visits us, our comrade power, the ineffable shall find a secret voice. Again, the great line normally we quote again and again, Sri Aurobindo quotes, a line of the transcendent meets our road and joins us to the timeless and the true. It brings to us the inevitable word, the godlike act, the thoughts that never die. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes here the best line. Sometimes most of the time, we quote really. A spirit's greatness is our endless source, and it shall be our crown in endless time. A vast unknown is around us and within, all things are wrapped in dynamic one. So again, the beautiful that connecting link is that a subtle link of union joins all life. A subtle link of union joins all life. Entire life is joined by a subtle union. Thus, all creation is a single charm. Because it is, or as already we know, Mother has quoted, I have linked you to a subtle golden chain. You can't escape like this. Thus, all creation is a single chain, a subtle link of union joins all life. We are not left alone in a closed scheme between a driving of the inconscient force. Again, our life is a spur in a sublime soul lens. Our life is a spur in a sublime soul lens. Our being looks beyond the walls of mind and it communicates with the greater worlds. There are brighter earths and wider heavens than ours, where we are staying and where we are confined to. There are brighter earths and wider heavens than ours. There are realms where being broods in its own depths. Just imagine the great description. The spirit holds up its mirrored self and works. The power and passion of its timeless heart, the figures of its formless ecstasy, the grandeurs of a multitudinous spirit. So, some we can see that another description also we can find here. A finer substance in a subtler mood embodies the divinity earth but dreams. Embodies the divinity earth but dreams, its strength can overtake joys or running feet. So just imagine how that glorious description is there and how it is actually working and describing. Sri Aurobindo again quotes the great one, some of the beautiful lines, the glorious lines, which normally we quote throughout the description almost in every where really we stand for discussing something in Savitri. Sri Aurobindo quotes, beauty is his footprint showing us where he has passed. Just imagine how the great. We are the lovers of beauty. Beauty is his footprint showing us where he has passed. Love is his heartbeat's rhythm in mortal base. Love is his heartbeat's rhythm in mortal base found here. Happiness is the smile upon his adorable face. Just imagine what really the meaning of beauty we take, and happiness how we feel, and of course love how we really mock and jeer. But thing is that the reality, the real definition of beauty is his footprint showing us where he has passed. Second, love is his heartbeat's rhythm in motor base. Third, a happiness is a smile on his adorable face. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully: a communion of spiritual entities, a genius of creative immanence makes all creation deeply intimate. Again, another brilliant descriptions from Mahayogi we can find. A fourth dimension, we have known three dimension, first, second and third length, breadth, height, so many ways we have discussion. This is the 4D picture we are finding, Sri Aurobindo has quoted before us. A fourth dimension of aesthetic sense where all is in ourselves and ourselves in all. This is the fourth dimension. Again, we find our souls. A veil is kept, something is still held back. We find everything subtle, there is a lacuna, everything is there. Still, then, Sri Aurobindo quotes, a veil is kept, something is still held back from us. Lest captives of beauty and the joy, our souls forget to the highest sphere, because most of the things are kept hidden from us. Anyway, we are going to pass to the another realm and another point of time where the Sri Aurobindo has described here. And this is possible because earth is not alone. There are so many others. There are constant influxes of the light and power. Earth is not alone. There are constant influxes of the power and light from the higher consciousness through the various planes of the graded existence. Graded existence, gradation we have discussed last evening. So these graded existence we can find the flow of the light and power from the higher consciousness. The original idea goes on exerting pressure on the realization. Original idea exerts pressure for realization, and through the series of attempts, some have lived, some imperfect, we can find here. With that, what with its incomplete instruments, evolving nature moves step by steps to nearer the fulfillment. That's gradation through step by step, and through these grades, through this hierarchy, it moves towards the fulfillment. Again, here in the course, the divine spirit above motivates all upward strivings. Up on the top, there is a divine spirit. It motivates all upward strivings. It holds all that is manifest in its dynamic oneness. All creation is one in the spirit. You have seen. All creation is one in the spirit. Each plane is the vast creation seeks to manifest this truth. This creation, each plane is a vast creation seeking to manifest the truth in its characteristic way. Its purpose is to they will try to manifest it in the way and the form. There is a higher nature at work. Already we have seen there is a higher nature because we don't know. Most of the times we are unaware. We are not able to reveal everything. Here in the course here, there is a higher nature at work in the higher planes. Higher nature working in the higher planes above this terrestrial universe, and it manifests the Godhead in perfect forms. Actually, and so and its undiminished substance, the intensities of knowledge, beauty, love, and the bliss. So higher power that works, and of course the great higher nature that is also in work. There is pressure from the divine spirit from above, that for that motivation is there. So there is actually great undiminished intensities of love, beauty, knowledge, and bliss. This creative dynamic is there in man also too, because that spark of the divine, spark of this divine truth, divine spirit, it is in there us. But it is latent in these depths, throwing up its the jest of power occasionally, and even then only briefly. That pressure from the divine spirit, it is coming, and of course higher nature is acting through us. And another way, the purpose is for this revelation, purpose is for the higher manifestation. So here in the course there is also another thing is there, that divine being that is also asleep inside us, we can also try and we can also be of course in briefly. And sometimes this power we become conscious occasionally, but it is not coming to permanently because we are not that much aware. Against here in the course, this subtle world immediately above the material world. Already know. Above this material world, this subtle world is there, a power unique for the beauty, symmetry of forms, perfect layout of the design. This is in the course about this material world, which is this subtle world, which is above our material world. Its uniqueness, it is unique for its beauty, symmetry of its forms, perfect layout of the design. For these things, actually, it has got its greatness. Within its limits, it is a perfect world, and still in that world is happy to stay in that perfection. There is perfection, there is happiness. So it has got its pitfalls, it has got its also gulfs. Still, it has got its limitations. Still, then it is in this world. It is happy to stay with because it has in that it has got its some perfection. There is no effort for progress, for self exceeding, and consequently there is no failure or pain. That is the major characteristic for which we must be inclined to this subtle region, because there is no effort for progress fast, no self-exceeding. Number three, so there is for that we for these two reasons there is no failure and no pain. There is no room for the stretchings and vibrations of the infinite spirit. Of course, it is another uniqueness. There is no room here for the stretching and the variations of the infinite spirit. All that is fixed in a frame of beauty. The soul stands almost lost to the sight behind the plethora of the beauteous forms and the righteous hues. The soul, here also again, soul plays a greater role because soul stands almost lost to the sight behind the plethora of beauteous forms and righteous hues. Nature is in contact with luxuriate in the enhancing play of her joyous rhythm and the bright felicities. So there is joy, there is brightness, there is felicity, there is joyous rhythm, that is bright felicities, plethora of beauteous forms and righteous hues. If you are able to rush inside, you will find a greater command, of course, there. Will you will try to read a couple of lines from original description of the Sri Aurobindo's original writing. In that fair subtle realm, behind our ken, the form is all and the physical gods are kings. The form is all and the physical gods are kings. The inspiring light plays in found by fine boundaries. A faultless beauty comes by nature's grace. There, liberty is perfection's guarantee. Their liberty is perfection's guarantee. Again, we'll skip really because line by line it is not our purpose to read. We don't have the time even. Each rhythm is keen to its environment. Each rhythm is keen to its environment. Each line is perfect and inevitable. Each object faultlessly built for charm and use. That is the greatness, the magnanimity of this realm. All is enamored of its own delight. Again, will it was a world that could not fear or nor grieve. It was a realm that could not fear nor grieve. It had no grace of error and defeat, no error of grace or defeat. It had no room for fault, no power to fall. So this is the great realm that's what we are going to. We are getting the description from the master. Sharing the quotes again. The spirit stood back, effaced behind its flame, admired for the bright finality of its lines. A blue horizon limited the soul. A blue horizon limited the soul. Thought moved in luminous facilities, the outer ideal shadows in its swim range. Life in its boundaries lingered satisfied. Life in its boundaries lingered satisfied with the small happiness and of the body's acts. So again, we'll go beautifully that forgetful of her violent vast desires, forgetful of her violent vast desires, forgetful of the heights to which she rose, her walk was fixed within a radiant group. This is not the end, this is the fineness is there, love is there, beauty is there, everything is enchantment, ecstasy is there. Still, you have to go forward. Sri Aurobindo quotes again towards the end. She faced no peril of sky or of abyss. She knew no vistas and no high mighty dreams. No yearning for her lost infinitudes. A perfect picture in perfect frame. This fiery artistry could not keep his will. Then Sri Aurobindo quotes about the further adventure. Before the further adventure, sometimes you can have the idea that I can at least stay here. Sri Aurobindo, that also clarified by the Sri Aurobindo. Only a moment's fine release it gave. A careless hour was spent in little bliss, our spirit tired of his being's surfaces. Then, towards the end, his soul's peak climb, abandoning in its rear. This brilliant courtyard of the house of days, this brilliant courtyard of the house of days, he left that fine material paradise. The descriptions here in the course, it is material paradise, fine material paradise he left. His destiny lay beyond in larger space. This is what Sri Aurobindo tries to quote again, and we'll try to conclude in one or two lines. Ashwapati regards the enchanting scene with the wonder. Tarries there for a while, tires stays there for, but his soaring spirit will not rest there because he is in adventure, in the preparing, almost he is prepared to go to set for a big adventure. He can't stay there. From this brilliant threshold, he passes on to the larger spaces of a greater world. That is what his destiny is there. He has to pass on. Even if this subtler, finer world here in the course, this is a fine material paradise, but he can stay because he has to venture into the unknown, the beautiful, lonely, bounteous, and of course, another bigger worlds. So, with these lines, we have to stop here. He left that material paradise, fine material paradise. His destiny lay beyond in larger state, so he can stay. So, this is a great description from the master. Of course, Sri Aurobindo has described magnificently. This is a great description from him. We have seen. Naturally, we also get enchanted. We have to also get excited to at least to visit or to stay for a while. But thing is that very sure that this is not the permanent place for you to stay on. You have to adventure into the bigger enchanted worlds that are accepting, awaiting to welcome you. Bande Mataram.